Hello everyone, CryptoEat here. Welcome to a new live stream. Today is the 2nd of July 2024, and we're going to pick up where we left yesterday. So if you've seen yesterday's stream, you know my position on Bitcoin, but I'm going to be updating it based on the changes that we see so far since yesterday. And if you have seen it, you're going to know that the current time frames that I'm interested in looking at are the 6-hour and 4-hour, 8-hour time frames. And the reason for that is we still are at this current MTF wave. I'm talking about this current wave here, or this one. Okay. Green is still up, so the wave is still an impulse wave or a wave upwards so far until this changes and until we start seeing reversal signs, which we haven't seen yet. So here, for example, yeah, this starting to curve downwards, but still for me this is going to be a reversal, mainly when this is doing something like that, when gray taps up. So until then it's not okay. And why are we looking at the 4-hour mainly? Because of this current 2-day fake up. Okay, let me just show you quickly the waves, the MTF waves that I use for reference. I'm just gonna load them in the background so I can show them to you. So this is currently the fake up that we are keeping an eye on, and we are currently interested in seeing this gap here between gray and blue close. So this gap, you can see here that gray and blue are far away from each other, so we are waiting to see this gap between them close, whether gray is gonna pull up blue or blue is gonna pull down gray, which is probably more probable. We are waiting for this gap to close to long the next local bottom, but as it looks now, probably blue is going to pull gray down and green is gonna pull them both down. So the main focus here is to zoom in on an entry for a late short. Okay, and to zoom in we need to zoom in to show this current tap up or fake up as a wave upward, as a full stochastic wave upwards. And let me just show you how a full stochastic wave looks like. I'm just almost there. Yeah, here it is. So this is how an ideal wave upwards looks like. Okay, it's a zoom in on what we're currently looking at, or on any any gray curve. When you zoom in on it, or blue curve, at some point you can zoom into the part where you can see it as a green curve. Green is the largest time frame, and when you do this, you're going to be seeing it as a curve like that, the green one that I'm currently highlighting. And then we're going to be looking at an entry, at a short entry at the reversal, like here when this gray is stepping up, where it tries short entry and where I put my white arrow. And for that we need to zoom in on a time frame that shows this. And as you can see, if we zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, we have the same start, which is here. Let me just mark the start. This is the start of the wave. Okay, and you can see it also here. And then when you look at this ideal stochastic wave, you see some similarities. You see that this is looking similar because it starts also at a green highlight, and then you have green curving upwards, and here you have green curving upwards as well. And so what is missing for this to be showing us an entry is simply that gray should tap up, and this would be a possible late short entry at this point where gray taps up, because it would look like this one exactly. Okay, we already have a lot of it happening. For example, we have green already curving down, and this is what we're looking at. Okay, and it's still not happened yet. It's probably gonna take multiples, like 2 or 3 candles of 4 hour, depending on how strong it's gonna be. But something interesting also to keep an eye on is the 6 hour, okay, which currently looks like also it's gonna push up before it goes down, and also the 8 hour is looking similar because it's faking down. Okay, so this makes us mark this last, because these two views are kind of opposing. One is showing that it's gonna start dropping soon, and the other is showing that it's gonna still bounce before it drops. So the next thing you could do is you zoom in on the zoom in time frame of the 6 and 4 and 8 hours, and this range between those zoom in time frames is usually somewhere between the 24-minute and the 48-minute time frames. So this is gonna be our third confirmation for this. So when we start at the 24-minute time frame, you can see that this here is looking like the opposite of the wave that I showed before, which is this. Let me just show you this. So this currently is looking like a wave down, okay, and for that means that there's still time for this to push up. It's still going to be reversing and pushing upwards before it actually does this other wave. Like, this is what I'm expecting on this one. Let me just draw this for you. I'm expecting this green here to push up and then do a full wave and then start going down. And while it does this, of course, gray and blue are going to keep doing this, and then we're going to target whenever this gray does this with green. So let me just paint this one green for you. So this is what I'm actually waiting for. And when you zoom out, for example, the 30-minute, okay, it shows the same narrative. 36-minute shows the same narrative, and 45 shows the same narrative as well. Okay, so actually this is the best course of action when you have the larger time frames showing conflicting signs. In that case, you need to zoom in on another layer of deeper or shorter time frames to be able to make or make an analysis and get yourself a picture of what's going to actually happen. So again, the narrative here is simply that this is gonna do this, first pull up, then down, and then up. Okay, here we might get another chance for a quick long scalp. It's not gonna be long, it's not gonna take much or a big play, but probably just a short scalp. And after this keeps zigzagging like that, like when this keeps zigzagging here, when green actually does this and then starts curving down, let me just make this one gray for you. When green starts curving down, this is where we're gonna look for a short, and that short is gonna be the short that is the one that is coinciding with the 2-day and the 4 hour and the 24-minute time frame. So it's gonna be like a triple time frame confirmation for this short play. Okay, we also have to put into consideration that the current 2-day fake up that I built this whole analysis on is going, the candle itself today is gonna close at the daily close today. So again, today at the daily close, this all needs to be re-evaluated, because if at the daily close this fake up here closes and you have this gap closing by simply blue pushing more upwards, and then this gap between gray and blue gets much smaller, then this whole narrative gets changed, and then what should be expected is that the next entry for a long will be like I posted yesterday, not like this, but something like where this pulls down and then does this fake down, sorry. So then in that case, this is what I'm gonna be looking at, okay, where gray is gonna simply fake down, and then this is gonna be our long entry, okay. So we have a possible short-term short incoming, which is gonna be a small play, not very necessary, you can just ignore it, but the bigger play is when gray taps down on the 2-day next, okay. This is when we know that this should be a possible long entry. Whether this happens by this simply keeping up on price here somewhere and then does like a retrace, and then this is where the point where we're going to enter, thinking that this is going to push up again and retest the highs, or the other scenario is a lower low before we go back up, okay. So that was Bitcoin. Next, let me take a look at Binance, main losers and gainers, top gainers and losers first. 1 second. Yeah, so when we look at Binance top gainers and top losers, what we can see here is we have BNX, Acro, and PHA and Ray. Okay, these are the 4 ones that I'm gonna start with. Let me just write them down first. So we have BNX, and then we have Acro, and then we have PHA, and we have Ray. I also like to look at the volume. So the daily volume on these, maybe PHA could be excluded because it's a very low volume, but we can take a look regardless, okay. The top losers today are Pendle. Let me just write them down also. Pendle, Beta, and ETHFi, and CTXC. I think CTXC I talked about yesterday, and I said that I'm not gonna be touching it or considering even touching it. If you look at the volumes, the CTXC is very low volume, so I'm not really gonna be interested in this, okay. And even Iris is the same, so just neglect them. Okay, just a second guys, need a second. So looking at these now, we start with BNX, and BNX, you're gonna see that there is already, like, I already had this personal trade that I took yesterday, where I entered based on this fake down. Let me just show you as a case study here, this fake down here, and I longed it for 10% profit, and actually it pushed much further upwards, but I took profit. So anyway, for me this one here is kind of gone, not much to be done. Let's just zoom out first to take a look. So, and we should be marking the last wave. And guys, even when we don't have these clear MTF waves, the first thing you should be doing is you mark the last wave. So the last wave is this one on that time frame, and then you mark the start, and then you zoom in 1 layer below, which is 1/10 of this current time frame. So when you zoom in here, you get that we had this top here, okay, and then we had this last tap down. This is where you know that you should have investigated for a long entry at this bottom. Okay, it perfectly aligns with the bottom. And let me just get this sorry, let me get this curve for you to just remind you with it. So this is the resemblance between this current wave down and that. So you see here we have this top, and then we have green coming down, and with it you have this zigzagging blue and gray and blue, sorry. Okay, and here what's happening, we already moved, like we are already here in the middle of nowhere, so actually there is not much to be done. Okay, this would be interesting in the next time when this taps up, maybe at the daily close, and when you zoom in to try and identify if it's already close to getting finished or not. So you zoom in on the 2-hour time frame, you see that this is still actually having a lot of strength. Okay, when you see this green curve almost inclined like that, and only one tap down and one red highlight, this is just showing you that it still has strength to go, but you don't have any entry at this point. You don't have a short entry and you don't have a long entry. Okay, you might get the next thing, one long entry when this taps down like that. So when this goes down, the gray curve goes down, this is when you could have a long entry, and this is why I could just set myself an alert here at 15 and write BNX 2-hour tap down long entry. Okay, and same, you can see the same on larger time frames. So for example on the 3-hour you have the same, and when you want to zoom in on this, if you were already taking that trade, that's another example here for you. So let's say you actually long this bottom here, and you want to know and you have some sort of TP up high, and you want to know if this has the juice to continue or it's gonna reverse soon. Your next step should be to zoom in on a time frame where this is the start of the stochastic wave. Okay, so in order to do that, you should zoom in first to 1/10 of the current time frame. So this current time frame is the 3-hour, which is 180 minutes. So when you zoom in, you need to zoom into the 18-minute time frame. Okay, and when you zoom into that 18-minute time frame, the first thing you're gonna see here is this clear green stochastic wave. Okay, maybe it's zigzagging a bit, but it still is clear because it goes up and down, but still you can identify that this is a wave essentially. And so if you were at this in this trade and you want to know if you should exit or you can stay at this stage, what you could hope for as someone who is already long is for this to push one last time with gray up. Okay, but ideally when you try to time your exit, time it at a tap at a tap up, don't wait until it goes down. Okay, so if you however were considering shorting something like this, which is not really a good idea, but if you are considering to do some precision trading and you want to neglect the higher time frames and just look at this 18-minute time frame for a micro scalp, then again you should be looking for a tap up on gray, okay, for a possible short. How would this look at this chart? It would simply just make one small push like this, and then you could then anticipate green to slowly go down, and with it gray and blue, of course. Okay, so this was BNX. Next one is Acro. And for Acro also we're gonna be starting from a larger time frame first, and this one is actually one that I don't like the look of it at all, because you have gray and blue always fluctuating very fast, like that you had, and they don't really fall or move strongly. So for example, now we have gray above blue, which is already slightly bearish, and even if you want to mark the last wave, which is this one, and then you want to zoom in to that time frame, okay, what you're gonna see here is simply something that looks like as if this is going to be rounding. Gray is gonna be rounding upwards like that, and with it blue, and then some point it's gonna go down and back up. Okay, so this is not much at a point where you can enter it. You either wait for it for gray to be at the very top, or you wait for it to be at the very bottom. Okay, ideally speaking, because this is now in the middle of a path. Okay, and trading on the in the middle of a path or in the middle of a wave is not ideal, because then you need for it to be much more precise, and you need for it not to be volatile enough to kick you out of the trade, because you're not going to be able to set a tight and accurate stop loss. So even if we were to mark this last wave on the 1 day here, or sub wave, and then go to the 2 hour, you're gonna see now it has something very similar, which is very similar in terms of that the gray here did not go to the very bottom, and now it's rounding as if it's gonna go up. And even if you want to take the risk and assume that this is already almost done and now it's gonna pull up, and you want to go to another zoom in time frame, so you go to the 12-minute, you can see it's still not there yet. If it was tapping down on that time frame, this is maybe where you could have taken the risk. Okay, so you could even set yourself an alert here in that case, and just write like 15 and then acro 12-minute 2 hour 1 day risky long. Okay, so when I say risky long, for me personally as a trader, it means I wouldn't enter with my normal risk amount. I would probably enter like half of my normal risk amount, or even a third of my normal risk amount. So if my normal risk amount or your normal risk amount is like $100 per trade, it means that this high risk trade, which could be not worth it at all, I could just enter with $40 or $30 risk amount, and with it I can just reduce the amount of loss that I could expect when the stop loss hits. Okay, so next one on our list is PHA. Let's just take a look at this, because we mentioned that this is a low volume coin and not ideal for us. So let's just take a zoom out here. Okay, so first thing you can see here is that the start of this wave here was there. Okay, you can see that's the last point, and then when you zoom in on the 1 day from the 10 day, you can then see, because of this spike here, we could need to move to one larger time frame. So we have the 2 day here showing something similar to what's happening on all of the market, which is it's faking upwards slightly. Okay, and even if you want to investigate if this still has strength in it or not, and you want to zoom in again, so go for example to the 4 hour time frame, you can see that this is already tapping up. So this is not safe to enter as a long, of course. And if this was a high volume coin, I would be very tempted to short it. Okay, if this was a high volume coin, I would simply enter a short here with a stop loss above swing low. But there are two reasons why I would never consider shorting this one. First is it has very low volume, and so the data that we're getting is not really like real, because when real volume kicks in, it's gonna simply show you like a different direction, or has a bigger impact on whatever is gonna happen with the price action. And the second reason for that is, of course, that this swing high is very high. So this is like 13% above the current entry, and there is no way on earth I could short a coin with low volume with a tight stop loss. Okay, so at least it has to be above swing high. So for me this is not something I could actually consider shorting. If this was showing some sort of a channel, okay, which is not the case, then maybe I would simply wait for it to break it. Okay, then the next coin is Ray. And for that, let me just start by zooming out further. So actually this one is looking different than the rest of the market, because you have this on the 10-day showing you a full stochastic wave, which we haven't seen, I think, for any other coin. Okay, so this was already in an uptrend for a long time, probably longer than many other coins. And now what you can see here is, let me just grab this ideal wave up for you. This is now starting to look on the 10-day. Usually we see these shapes on the smaller time frames, but on the 10-day we're starting to see here that this could be finishing up soon. Of course, on the 10-day time frame, when we say soon, it's totally different from any other time frame, because it can take a couple of months. So soon here could mean a couple of months, or like 3 10-day candles. And we are simply expecting this to tap up here, and then with it we could see a local top. Whether this local top is the actual top or just a local top and then it's gonna correct downwards before it bounces back up is something else. Okay, okay guys, I just noticed that I was discussing all these coins while the chart wasn't visible. So I'm gonna be cutting this stream here and restarting a new one with the list that we're going to investigate. Okay, or better, just let me think for a second. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna continue here. I'm gonna redo these very quickly, and then I'm gonna be just looking to continue afterwards. Okay, so just give me a second. Or let me just cut the stream and start a new one. Okay.